All right, welcome back to our second lesson in the whole numbers unit. And just to get us started off, we're going to get you to do a little bit of thinking here. And I got some digits I'd like you to think about: 3, 5, 7, and 8. And I'd like you to think of 3 different numbers using all of those digits that you could write. And I'd like you to order those numbers from greatest to least. And I'm going to say that again, from greatest to least. All right, try that out for a sec. Now, we're going to look at some numbers, and they look very similar because the digits are all the same, but they're just in a different order. So we're going to try and figure out how to order the numbers 2,143, 2,413, and 1,423 from least to greatest. And teachers love to pull this trick on you. Just putting it out there, because I am a teacher. Least to greatest sometimes. Or they'll do the opposite, greatest to least. So when you are doing tests, if there's tests or questions, it really is important to notice what order they would like you to answer it in. So first step is we're going to represent each number with base 10 blocks to see which one is the smallest and which one is the greatest. So 2,000 of these, we have 140, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. So that's what we learned last lesson, how to do this. Let's do another one. 2,413, and then I need 4 of these. And I only need 110, but I do need 3 ones. Okay, and then lastly, 1,423. We need 1 of those. And again, we have 4 of the flat 100 blocks. And I should probably make that down here. And we have 2. Oops, sorry about that. Hello. 2 10 rods. And again, 3 ones. Okay, so when we look at this, we should probably start with the larger numbers, and that would be the thousands. And maybe just to make this easier, I'm going to draw a line separating these. Okay, so you might notice straight off the bat that this number here only has 1,000 block, and the other ones have 2. So I automatically know right now that this is going to be the least. Okay, this one is number 1 on our list. Okay, well, next we have 2 here and 2 of these. Oh, they're tied. So what we need to do is we need to move to the right and look at the hundreds. Well, this guy only has 1, but these guys have 4. So therefore, well, 4 is greater than 1. So that means that this is the second number, and this would be our greatest number. So from least to greatest is 1,423, 2,143, and 2,413 is the greatest number. Okay, we're going to use the same numbers again, but this time I'm going to use a place value chart, and we did this last time in the last lesson, so I'm going to rewrite these out. So 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3. And again, we can see right away, and we look at the thousands column first because that's the fast way of doing it. This one's definitely the smallest. We notice that this and this are tied, so then we're going to look to the next column, the hundreds column. Oh, this 4 here is larger than the 1, so that means again that this is the least. So I'm putting 1 because we're going to put that first in the list, then this guy, and then this guy. So again, 1,423 is the least, and 2,143 is second, and 2,413 is the greatest. Now, just as a note, we should use these less than and greater than signs to show the order. So 1,423 is less than 2,143 means that less than. You might have heard of some strategies here, but just before we look at that, the opposite means the sign is facing the opposite way. It means greater than. So, I always struggled this with as a kid, and what I thought is we read left to right. We read left to right. And so what we're saying is 1,423, and this is pointing this way, okay? And that means less than. So we would say the words less than. Now, if it's the opposite way, going this way, it's, you know, the opening is towards the bigger number, we would say greater than. So as a kid, I'm sure some of your teachers, you've heard of this before. You got this. I'm doing a big version, and they always drew the teeth because we could say it's an alligator, and the alligator always eats the bigger number. Okay, so yeah, that helps. Or the opposite was, so one teacher, what they did was they drew the sign. So let's say I have 1,423, and on this side is whatever, 2. And then they would draw this bird, and they said, well, birds eat less than alligators, so the less than, you know, the beak of the bird is pointing towards the lower number. Okay, so yes, that helps us know what direction to put it in, but my point is we need to learn how to read this, okay? Because this pointing that way and this pointing this way, they do mean different things, okay? So we would say this is less than because we're referring to the number here, and this one is greater than because it's referring to the number here, because again, we read left to right. I hope that kind of makes sense, okay? That's just a little note there. Okay, so another strategy we can use is a number line, and so what we can do is, we have a number line here, and I'm not saying this is the quickest, easiest way, but if you're a person that likes visual, you know, to look at this visually, other than base 10 blocks, this could be a strategy. So let's look at the numbers, 2,143. Well, that 2, remember, this 2 here represents 2,000. It's just over, it's less than 2,500. So it's probably going to be right around there. I don't have to be exact, but it's a good guess, okay? I'm going to label it there. The next one here, again, but this time we're just before the 2,500, so I'm going to label that guy. And then we have, well, that one represents the 1,000, and this 4 is 400, so that's a little bit less than 1,500, so here we go. And here again, you can see what the order is. So we're going least to greatest, so that means we're going this direction. All right, I'm going to get you to try this one. I'd like you to write the numbers from greatest to least. I'll say that again, from greatest to least. And which method did you like? Out of the 3, which method did you like? Now, if you like the base 10 method, you can just draw it out like we learned last lesson. Okay, so pause it here. Take a minute or two to try and figure this out. Okay, so maybe let's look at the base 10 version. So maybe 2,000. I'm just going to put these out here and draw a line across. That's a 1, sorry. There you go. And we had this guy, and then, okay, so maybe I'll draw it in red. So I had 2,000 blocks. I have 3 hundreds. I have 1 rod and then 4 ones. Okay, and then again I have 2 of these. And I have 4 of the flats. I have 1 and 3 ones. Again, 2 of these 1,000 blocks. And you can see I'm just kind of rushing through it. I know what it means. I'm not really too picky. 3 10s and then 4 of these. Oh, a little bit different here. We have 3,000 blocks because that 3 means 3,000. So I have 3 of these. I have 100. I have 2 of these. And okay, so remember this is going from greatest to least. Well, which, let's look at the thousands column. Which one has the most thousands? Well, clearly this one. So this is number 1 on our list. Okay. Now, if you look, there's 2 on the next 3. So next we have to look at the hundreds. Well, this one has 3. This one has 4. This one has 1. Greatest to least, which one has the most? Well, this guy here. He's got 4 of them. Then we have 3 of these, and then the last one here. So the order would go, if I was to write this out, 2,124, then 2,413, then 2,314, and then 2,134. Okay, so that's one method. I'm going to erase all of this. Okay, remember there was the method where we used the place value chart, so I'm going to put thousands, hundreds, tens, ones. I'm just going to make a rough one here. And so 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 4, and 3, 1, 2, 4. Okay, well, again, we can see that this is number 1. These ones are all tied in here. So I look at the hundreds and x, that means this 4 is greater, then this 3 is greater, so that's a third, and then this 1, which is 4. Okay, and then the other method that we looked at was the number line. So if I drew a quick number line, and let's say that here's 2,000, and let's call this one 3,500, because I can see that I go over 3,000 here, so let's call this 2,500. This could be 3,000. You can see that my number is a little skewed here. Maybe this is 3,500, and I'll cross it out with 4,000. Just to make it a little bit even. Okay, so 2,314 is over 2,000, but less than 2,500, so it's about here. We have 2,413. It's even closer. We have 2,134 about here. And then we have 3,124 way over here. So you can kind of see the order. Now we're going greatest to least, so we would be reading the numbers that direction. All right, there you have it. We just looked at a few strategies on how to order numbers from greatest to least, or least to greatest. And there was 3 different methods that we looked at. We looked at base 10 blocks, we looked at place value charts, and we also looked at number lines. If it were me, I mean, the quickest way is place value charts, but I mean, you can visually look. If you're a very disciplined person, you could look at the first digit and know right away, but you have to be really organized in your brain. So if you're one of those mental math people, it is easier to make mistakes. So if you're a little bit worried about that, I do recommend the place value chart. That's my recommendation. Mr. Hardy recommends place value charts, but base 10 blocks, if you draw them quickly, do work as well. Okay, well, you know, we encounter numbers a lot, so just remember, in life, math happens. Take care, guys.